to this episode of the Connecting Faith to Life podcast. I'm Trey Rhodes, the Connections Pastor at Northwood Baptist Church here in North Charleston, South Carolina. In just a few moments, our lead pastor, Dr. Tommy Metter, will be joining the conversation as well. In our crazy and chaotic world, our hope is that these few minutes will help you stop and reflect on your relationship with Jesus as you learn to connect Christ-centered faith to your everyday life. We are on episode 166 of the Connecting Faith to Life podcast, and it's great to have you along listening with us and participating with us. And Pastor, I talked to another guy that says, "Man, I didn't know that was so good."
Oh, well,
he started
nice.
Listening this week. He said I listened to 5 different ones this whole week.
Five different ones.
So he said it's really good. He said the last one I listened to was you interviewing your son in Boston.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, that was a good one too.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah. So he's catching up, but he's done about 5 so far. So
good.
A lot of people are getting involved. So the reason I say that is because you can have that opportunity to introduce people to Connecting Faith to Life as well. So do that by Facebook, Twitter. Just do a personal invitation. Say, hey, listen, you need to check it out. Because truth is, a lot of people want to know, here's the Bible. Now, how do we make that work in our everyday life?
That's right.
Well, Pastor, you don't have to go very far to look at the news or listen to the radio or whatever you're doing to understand that we live in an angry world. Everybody's
angry all the time.
They're divided and angry at someone. They use explosive language in ways that the free speech covers. But as the body of Christ, I just wonder if we get involved in that. So,
life is great and everybody's mad.
I guess. I guess.
And we live in the greatest time in the history of mankind, I believe.
If everybody's mad, then.
Trey, I got up this morning and I turned on my cell phone.
Yeah.
And it connected to satellites in the sky and gave me information. That's pretty doggone cool.
That is awesome.
That's awesome.
And everybody's mad.
Right? Everybody's mad.
Because it didn't connect quite fast enough.
I got into a car this morning and drove here. I didn't walk. I didn't need a horse.
You didn't need a horse and carriage.
Right? You think about Mary and Joseph. Hey, it took them...
Walking through those rocky deserts that we saw.
To get to Bethlehem to have a baby. They didn't have a car. They didn't have an Uber. You know what I'm saying?
It was walking.
I got in my car this morning and I drove here. It took me 25 minutes. A little traffic, but you know what? That's awesome.
And don't fool yourself. That was a long way.
That was a long way.
Yeah.
I mean, life is great. We've got so many benefits of living in the 21st century, just how culture has changed since the days of Jesus and the life expectancy in the days of Jesus is what, 50?
Maybe.
40?
Maybe. Who knows? It wasn't much.
And likely, not you, Trey, because you're really old, but I'm not. And so for me, the medical advances that are going to be made in my lifetime, it's likely I'll live to be 175.
You could.
I mean, right.
Well, you could. There's no doubt.
You might make it to 110. Who knows?
Who knows?
All that to say.
But, yeah, it's an amazing
world
we live
in an amazing time, and everybody seems mad all the time.
It seems like the better things get, the worse people are angry.
Right.
Isn't that?
Man, and the reality is, anger is an issue that we all experience from time to time, and that's just part of being human and part of having a sinful nature. Even when life is great, we'll find something to get angry about. That is for sure. It's just learning how to deal with anger in a way that honors Christ is really, really super important. I don't know if you know this, Trey. I was looking back through the archives of our podcast. We've done a lot of episodes.
Oh, yeah.
We've actually talked about this before.
I believe it.
Yeah, back. It's been a couple years, but we did a episode from the book of Proverbs on anger. But I was looking back and like, it'd probably be good to revisit this and think through this once again, because it really does seem like we live in some angry times, and just kind of as followers of Jesus, how can we, not let our anger turn into just sinful responses. So I think this is going to be something helpful to talk about. And Pops, we were talking about before the podcast. Like, I'm not going to say everything you said.
No, it's all right.
But this is an open book. This is an area you've grown in over the years.
Yeah, I can't say that I've never gotten angry recently.
Yeah.
But it's I feel like I've overcome it a lot. And as a young,
I don't think you're an angry person. I think you're rather great.
As a young man, though, oh my heavens, I just lived an angry life. So much so that one of my friends, who was a strong believer, looked at me and says, "I can't be your friend anymore because you have an angry spirit." And the Bible says I shouldn't hang around with a man with an angry spirit. And he left. I mean, he I didn't see him for months.
Was that kind of the turning point for you?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And I realized that there was issues I had to deal with. It just wasn't a good thing. And so over the years, it is, and maturity helps too, but just serving, doing the Lord's work and being in the Word and being accountable to people and letting your wife speak into you when she finds out you're angry.
Right.
And, those kind of things have helped immensely. And my poor children, they've also been able to pour into me, and so we've gotten there. But it is an issue, and it can be an issue for people that I say that's my my sin that so easily besets me. That can be very much that way, and so it's just it can be very difficult to. I'm a passionate person, and it unfortunately goes.
I think
into
that's
the
part
anger.
of it, right? It seems like and God wires us all differently. Right. And if you have a personality that's more given towards passion and emotion, the extreme of that might be that some of that passion can become, kind of an angry passion. And that's not necessarily good. So yeah. And some people, and we could get into all kinds of different issues, and we don't really have the time to do that. But, there certainly is that passionate anger that comes out sometimes. But then there's that silent anger.
Yeah.
That people just kind of bottle up,
That's not me.
Yeah, that's not you.
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that would be you, Pops. I think, you're a pretty outspoken
I'm an open
guy.
book. Yeah. I'm an open book.
Outspoken in a good way, but you're kind of an outspoken guy.
Mm-hmm.
So am I. I think I'm kind of a passionate guy, and
I agree.
have to be careful with that too. So yeah. So what we want to do today is answer a few questions about anger that will hopefully get us in the right direction and help us to deal with our anger well. I want you to think about, before we start answering these questions, just a couple of scriptures I think will help us. One comes from Psalm 37:8, and it says this: refrain from anger and give up your rage. Amen. Do not be agitated. It can only bring harm.
I agree.
That's right. When that anger begins to swell up within you and you begin to let that anger come out in sinful ways, I don't know anything good that comes out of it.
No. I don't know ever if any time I've ever gotten angry that something great came out of it.
The good that comes out of it, I guess, is, well, this is good, is that, when you are able, after your angry outburst, to go back and confess and ask for forgiveness, that's good, right? But it'd be great if you could avoid that altogether.
Yeah. 1 John 1:9 is a great scripture, but I don't want to use it. I don't want to use it all the time,
Right? Or think about this one. A quick-tempered person, this is Proverbs 14:17, a quick-tempered person acts foolishly, and one who schemes is hated.
Yeah.
A quick-tempered person acts foolishly.
Yeah.
When you're just given to anger all the time, you're going to do some foolish stuff, aren't you?
You do stupid things.
Yeah.
I had built a testimony. We used to race go-karts at Horseshoe Racetrack up in Monk's Corner.
Okay.
And I had built a testimony there, shared the gospel multiple times, and my son threw a belt. And when he threw a belt, I picked up this 200-pound go-kart. This is before my injuries now. And I threw it over top of an 8-foot fence.
Say what?
Yeah. Now, I didn't take it out on anybody.
That probably caused your injuries.
Probably did.
Man.
But my point is that, that was stupid. Oh my heavens! Of all because it hurt the go-kart, destroyed my testimony. This is a $2,000-$3,000 go-kart. These are not the little things, And it just was. You do stupid things.
Yeah. I used to play golf. Then I got married, and that ended that. But I remember playing with guys on the golf course. They'd miss that shot or shank one into the woods, and they take that club and just sling it. I'm like,
I've never done that.
I'm not slinging my clubs. I pay a lot for these clubs.
That's the way I feel. But with the go-kart, not so much. Anyway.
And you look foolish when you do that. No offense, I wasn't there to see when you did it, but you do.
No, it was stupid.
When you throw that club across the course, you just look foolish. Come on. Yeah. At any rate, let's answer 3 questions about anger.
3 questions. First is this, and this is what we need to define. What is anger?
Okay, so think about it in this way. Anger is a natural response. All right, let's put that on the table first, right? Okay. And when we get to Ephesians chapter 4, verse 26, is Paul's going to say, be angry and do not sin. Right, so you think about anger. We can't help the emotion. When you're done wrong or you see an injustice, that is going to cause an emotional response in you, and that emotional response is anger. And so, anger in and of itself isn't the sin. It's what you do with the anger, right? And so really, if you think about it, when you respond in that anger, you respond in sinful ways, a lack of self-control.
Yeah.
When you picked up that that go-kart and chunked it, that was obviously a lack of self-control.
Obviously.
And so when you sling that golf club across the course, that's a lack of self-control. And so sometimes the way we will see that anger, just come out is in that lack of self-control. You can't control your mouth or whatever the case may be. But anger in and of itself, it is an emotional response, right? But here's the deal. It's an emotional response to a perceived evil. Now, here's what I mean by that, right?
Okay.
Sometimes your anger, and we're going to talk about this briefly, it is justified. That somebody really did evil towards you. Or we're going to talk about in a moment for just a brief second, we'll talk about righteous anger, right? Okay. That's when you're angry at something real. You think about over the years how we as followers of Jesus, we have stood firmly on pro-life, right? That the issue of abortion makes me angry.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Or now you think about how the family structure, the biblical family structure is being attacked in our culture. That makes me angry. Yeah. When I watch television, and we're trying to watch a ball game with the boys, and I have to turn the channels during commercials because I don't want them to be exposed. That makes me angry that I have to do that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so that's a righteous anger that's directed towards real evil. But sometimes we get angry at perceived evils. Okay. Right? That somebody does something to you, and you think it's bad. It might not be. Right?
Yeah, I agree.
You might have misunderstood someone, right? The communication might have broke down, or whatever the case may be. And so sometimes we get angry at a real evil. Yeah. Somebody's really done us wrong. Sometimes we get angry at a perceived evil that really wasn't. It's just you misunderstood, or you, kind of mistranslated, or whatever the case may be. And so just understanding that there's a natural response to a real evil or a perceived evil. You understand? Yeah. And so again, we talked about anger. Anger becomes sinful when you respond sinfully in that emotion. Just for a moment now, think about righteous anger. Okay. Righteous anger is when you are rightly angry at something that is a real evil, whether it's abortion or the attack on God's standard for family and marriage, or somebody really does you wrong, right? Or you see someone do someone else wrong. You see real injustice. So here's the thing about righteous anger, because we all like to say, yeah, my anger, it was righteous anger, right? But here's how you know you have righteous anger and not sinful anger. Righteous anger responds in righteous ways. Okay, that makes sense. Makes sense? Yeah. So you think about God, our Father. He is angry at sin. How does God righteously respond? Because he's perfect. God does not sin. He's angry at sin because it is not a part of his character. How does God act righteously in his anger? Well, he punishes sin by sending his son to a cross to die in our place. Wow. Right? That is a righteous response to his righteous anger. Or you think about Jesus overturning the tables in the temple. We're like, man, he just lost his mind. No. He was responding righteously, because what they had done is they had made the temple courts a den of thieves. And so what did Jesus do? He got rid of it. Yeah. He removed the sin from the place. He responded. I mean, you read it like, dude, he just lost his mind. He started overturning tables. But you think about it, what he was doing was he was removing the sin, right, from that those courts. So it would open up those courts for the Gentiles, because this should be a house of prayer for all nations. So those Gentiles could come into that court and worship and pray and all those kind of things. And so, anyway,
I think Jesus would have done that with the right attitude. I don't think I would have. Right. So, he's Jesus.
Right.
So.
Right. But that's righteous. Righteous anger.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It's that anger towards a real evil. Yeah. But it responds in righteous ways. So you could be right. You could be angry at the right thing, but still respond in the wrong way. That's sinful. Yeah. You see the injustice, and that justice, it rightly makes you angry, but then you lose your mind and cuss somebody out. That's the wrong way to respond.
Well, television shows are made up of Christians, murder shows especially, about they got angry at somebody, so they murdered them. Right. Because they were sinful.
That's not the right way to respond.
Exactly. Right. And I don't know a lot of Christians that way, but Christians always tend to be that person on that murder show.
So, and it's easy for me. It's easier for me not to murder. I'm not murdering anybody, but it's easier for me when I see, when I'm watching a ball game and that advertisement comes on. that, is against everything I stand for and believe in as a follower of Jesus, I can respond to that moment very unrighteously. I can complain to my wife and say, man, I can't believe they're doing this again. What a bunch of whatever. You know what I'm saying? And so even with those things we should be rightly angry about, there's the temptation to respond in a very unrighteous way. Righteous anger, real righteous anger responds in righteous ways.
Amen.
Makes sense?
That's
and
good.
So just knowing that what anger is a natural response to a perceived evil or a real evil. But just think about this too, Trey, because you know this and I know this too. Man, when you begin to let that anger build up in you, right? When you begin to let that emotion begin to take over, and you don't respond to it right, you don't respond to it in righteous ways by taking it to the Lord or by whatever the case may be. When you begin to let it just stew in you, it affects everything about you, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course it does.
It affects you physically. You can feel it.
Oh my gosh!
You can feel your face getting hot.
Oh, it's
right?
my stomach.
You can feel your
burns.
stomach, right? You can. I mean, you can feel it physically, behaviorally. You start to get impatient with people. You start lashing out. That's the sinful part, right? Yeah. Cognitively, what I mean by that is when you really start to understand, or when you really start to stew on that anger, it affects the way you think. You can't think right. That's why you act foolishly. That's why you throw the golf club. That's why you throw the golf cart, because you're the golf cart. I keep saying golf cart. It's a go-kart. That would be really a feat of strength if you threw a golf cart.
That would be amazing. Yeah. But anyway.
But, that's that. You just don't think straight when you let that anger begin to take over. Socially, right? You cut people off. You avoid them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Socially, nobody wants to be around you when you're like that either.
Yeah. Motivationally, you start to scheme against people, right? Or you think about occupationally, it even affects your work. Some of you are so angry at something that during the day, you're not able to be productive in your job because you're still stewing on what happened at home last night. Yeah. All that to say, when you don't deal with anger, when you let that emotion take over and you don't respond in righteous ways, but you respond in unrighteous ways, it really does begin to affect everything about you. It's not good.
That's right. All right, so that's anger. And try to keep those things straight when you're understanding what anger is all about. All right. Well, number 2, why do I get angry?
I don't know. Why do you get angry?
That's a good question.
The question I need to answer, right?
Yeah, we're going to answer that question, and I will put
listen
place
to this,
into it.
Yeah,
too.
listen to this passage of scripture. This is great. This is James 4:1-3. What is the source of wars and fights among you? Why do you quarrel? Why do you get angry and start lashing out?
This is to a Baptist business meeting, by the way.
You've been to some of those, huh?
Yes, I have.
Man, praise God that at Northwood.
I agree.
We don't do any of this Baptist business. We have one a year, and it's always a lot of fun. But that's another story for another day.
Yeah.
What is the source of wars and fights among you? Don't they come from your passions that wage war within you? You desire and you do not have. You murder and covet and cannot obtain. You fight and wage war. You do not have because you do not ask. You ask and don't receive because you ask with wrong motives, so you may spend it on your pleasures. So here's why you and I typically get angry. All right. Now, sometimes there's justified anger. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Somebody really does wrong us and hurt us, and that creates some justified anger. But even in the anger, we still need to learn to respond righteously, right? Yeah. But sometimes we just get angry over stupid things. Right?
Most of the time we get angry over stupid things.
That's probably a better way to say it, isn't it, Pops? Most of the time we get angry over stupid things. The kids didn't pick up their room. They should, but then you lose your mind. That was dumb.
Exactly, and you can't get over it the next day.
Your husband, doesn't pick up his underwear off the floor, and you lose your mind. Well, I get it. He should pick them up, but was it really worth you losing your mind over? And so what happens is we get angry most of the time, probably because we're simply not getting what we want in the moment.
Yeah, and I noticed that most people set themselves up for that. Yeah. They will say things like, if my husband leaves his underwear on the floor one more time. Then they explode, Yeah. And so we're setting ourselves up for sin when we say things like that.
Yeah, and so just understand that lots of times when you get angry, it's simply because you're not getting what you want, right?
Right.
That your husband didn't do this, your kids didn't do this, this person didn't do this, and it just is an inconvenience to you. Everybody's inconveniencing you, and it just makes you mad, right?
Yeah.
And so what happens in that moment when you think about what James says here, your passions are at war within you. This is selfishness. Your selfish desires aren't being met. Because they're not being met, you start to get angry, right? Your life is being inconvenienced. Or think about this. You get angry because who is on the throne of your life? You are.
Yeah. want it my way.
Yeah. I want it my way.
Yeah.
And so the reason why you get angry is nobody is bowing to your will. Why? Because everybody else is bowing to their own will.
Exactly. They want it their way.
Yeah, we talked about this Sunday night. We're doing a parenting seminar on Sunday nights here at Northwood, and I made the statement as we're closing out. The problem in my house is that there are 4 wannabe kings and one real king.
Yeah.
And all of us wannabe kings are refusing to surrender our crowns to the real king. Right? That's what happens in my house.
That's a good way to say it.
When we're starting to get on each other's nerves, and I mean, I want to sit on my throne. Stacy wants to sit on her throne. Luke wants to sit on his throne. Hudson wants to sit on his throne, right? We all want our own way, and we forget, right, that there's one true king that sits on the throne that we must submit to. That's why we get angry so often, is because I'm trying to rule over my life, and you are getting in the way of me ruling over my life and getting what I want. See what I'm saying? So again, there are times that we're going to get angry that are justified. Somebody is going to really do evil towards you, and you're going to get angry about it, or you're going to see an injustice, or whatever the case may be. But lots of times that anger that swells up in you is really the result of your own selfishness and you not getting what you want. And so because you're not getting what you want, you begin to lash out on others, right? Paul David Tripp is really helpful and thinking through this, right? And just bear with me for a second. So he gives this little diagram, which you can't see, but the idea is here's how it happens. Here's how the anger grows, right? It starts with a desire. I want, and that desire begins to grow. I want, and that desire turns into a demand. Not only do I want, I must have it.
Oh,
right?
Wow.
I must have it, and then that demand then turns into a need. Not only do I want, and not only must I have it, I will have it. I will do whatever I have to do to get it, to have that desire met, because now it's not just a desire. It's a need for me. I've got to have it, right? And I will have it. I'll do whatever it takes, right? And then there's an expectation. You should help me get what I want. Don't stand in the way. No, you should be on my team.
Yeah.
If this is what I want in life, if I want that dirty underwear picked up, you should help me. You should do that, or whatever it is, right? I want these kids to clean up their rooms. They better do that, because I have to have that done. So that need becomes an expectation that you put on somebody else, right? And then when that person doesn't live up to that expectation of helping you get what you desire, what you've demanded, what now you think you need, what happens? You get disappointed. You didn't. You failed.
Yeah.
You didn't help me to get what I want. You didn't do this for me. You stood in the way of me getting what I want, right?
Oh, man, yeah.
I desire, I demand, I need, I have
Never
expectation.
thought of it that way.
And then I'm disappointed when you don't help me get it. And then finally, because you didn't help me get it, I'm going to punish you. I'm going to lash out at you, right? I'm going to avoid you. I'm going to let my anger be made known to you by the way I treat you, right? So you begin to punish people, right, by what you say to them, by how you treat them, how you abuse them, or whatever the case may be. But Paul David Tripp says that really is the process. It starts with that desire, and that desire begins to grow into a demand and a need, and then you put an expectation on somebody, they disappoint you, and then you lash out and you punish.
You were doing with your finger like a spiral, and that I see that as a downward spiral is what's going on there.
Absolutely. So. But that's why you and I get angry oftentimes, is because that desire that we have for something or whatever, it's not met, and we expect people to help us and meet it. And when they don't, man, it disappoints us, and we start to lash out. We punish.
I've seen that happen in my own life.
Yeah,
I mean, I know.
think we all have.
I know.
We all have. Again, but understand again, certainly there are those times where we're justified in our anger, right?
Yeah.
Somebody hurts us and learning how to deal with that. But then there's those times where we're just selfish. We just want what we want. And when you don't give it to us, we lash out.
That's right. All right. Third question. How do I overcome an angry heart? And I think this is where most of us are. How do we know we're angry people? How do we get over it? How do we get victory?
So one is just being honest and realizing the damage that you're doing. Again, when you choose not to have self-control, and which is a fruit of the Spirit, which you can grow in as you seek the Lord and as you walk by faith, when you choose not to live out that self-control that God calls you to live out, man, and you choose just to lash out in anger, it really does damage. And you know that. You know the damage it does to relationships. You know how it doesn't build trust. It erodes trust.
Oh, definitely.
And even the damage it does in your relationship with God. Because when you're in that moment of anger, are you thinking about the things of God?
Oh,
no.
Heavens.
You're thinking about, I really need to pray right. I'm going to open the Bible up and start. No, you're not thinking about your walk with God. So
I'm ready to read 1 John.
Right. You're not doing that. So in that sense, that fellowship with that you have with God
is broken.
It's strained because, you're not thinking about that. You're thinking, because again, you're putting yourself on the throne of your life.
Yeah.
I don't want God telling me what to do. I don't want anybody telling me what to do. I'm going to do. And so that attitude is just damaging. And so part of dealing with an angry heart is just, come on now, be honest and realize that the damage that you're doing. Or think about this. And we don't think about this. You're damaging your gospel witness.
I think about it often.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, here we are called by God to reach people with the good news of Jesus Christ. Man, if you're angry at me all the time, how am I going to believe that you're saved? Now, or that the gospel's made a difference in your life?
Yeah, there is one place you can be angry, and that's in your car. You can just yell and scream at people. And, I'm teasing, of course.
Probably still not the wise way to respond.
No, it's awful.
I understand.
But it's the same. What I'm trying to get at is that, we need to be a gospel witness even in our cars.
Yeah,
go ahead. I know you turned in front of me. Go ahead. That's fine.
Yeah.
I've had to learn to overcome.
God bless you. Have a great day. Cut me off, whatever. But it is that attitude of knowing that this is life. You're going to be inconvenienced. You're going to get cut off in traffic. Someone's going to say something to you. All that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And if you lose your mind every time it happens, you are going to have a miserable life, and you are going to damage a lot of relationships. You got to learn to overlook some things. I mean, Proverbs, and I'm drawing a blank as to exact location in the Proverbs, but there's this beautiful proverb that says that it is a glory to man to overlook minor offenses. Because the reality is, a lot of things you get mad about are really minor offenses.
Oh, they are.
You know what I'm saying? And so just, again, realizing the damage and then just asking God to help you overcome. I mean, for some of us listening, really what does need to happen is just some real repentance. God, forgive me of sitting on the throne of my life, because the reason why I get mad is because people aren't giving me what I want. I need to start living for what you want.
Amen.
Because you're the king, not me. And so it's that. And then you think about what Paul says. He says, be angry and do not sin. That's in Ephesians chapter 4. Ephesians chapter 4, we've talked about before, is that great chapter where Paul is talking about, okay, here's how you live out the new life. Here's how you begin to walk in your faith. Here's how you experience sanctification, growth in your life. You put off the old, you put on the new. And over, he's talking about, okay, here's what you put off. Here's what you put on. Yeah. Be angry, put that off, and do not sin. So what are you putting on? You're putting on, okay, instead of letting that anger, just take over, instead of stewing on it, right? When I feel that emotion, I'm going to go ahead and deal with it. I'm going to run to the Lord and say, God, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling that emotion of anger. It's swelling up in me. God, help me. Help me to live in the fruit of your spirit right now, right? And in that anger, if I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to deal with the issue, right? If someone did something to hurt me, I'm going to try to rectify that now. I'm going to have that conversation, even if it's difficult, to let that person know, hey, this happened and we need to work through this, or I heard you say this. I need to make sure I heard you correctly. And if I did, then we need to talk about this. I'm not going to let myself respond in a way that I'll lash out. Instead, in that moment of anger, I'm going to be angry and do not sin. He goes on to say, do not let the sun go down on your anger. So it's this idea of deal with it quickly, right? I'm going to right now try to rectify this situation. I'm going to use this as an opportunity. If I'm following the Lord faithfully, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to show grace.
Yeah.
Every time, this is reality.
I think this is good.
Every time someone offends you, right? I know there's a temptation to lash out in anger, but you also have to see that it's an opportunity to minister to someone as well, and learning how in that moment to be a blessing, even when somebody is cursing you. I mean, that's what Christ did for us, right? That's right. We put him on the cross because of our sin, and in that he chose to bless us and not condemn us, right? Amen. By dying the death that we deserve. And so just realizing that there is this process of putting off and putting on. Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down in your anger. Deal with it.
That's right. Well, Pastor, I think these have been some great tools we can use, and being that one thing that thing that easily besets me. I want to make sure that I'm responding and acting and fellowshipping and all those things that will make me a better gospel witness, a better husband, a better father, and all the things that we need to do to accomplish this well. All right, Pastor, well, thank you so much, and why don't you close us out and get us ready for next week?
All right. Well, I do hope today's been helpful for you, and I hope today that you will seek to live by the Spirit and let Him control your life. And if it has been helpful for you today, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can have new content delivered to your device every single week. Leave us a 5-star review. That helps us to get word out about the podcast. And as always, we hope today's episode has helped you connect faith to life.